Hi there, Simon from simonwoods.com here, and Naked Wines Part 2. 6 wines, if they have anything in common. Well, actually 4 of them are Shirazes. The only thing the other 2 have in common is that they weren't made from Bordeaux varieties. First one is a New Zealand Pinot Noir. Now, New Zealand Pinot Noir, the main regions that are making the headlines: Central Otago, followed by Martinborough, also known as Wairarapa, then Marlborough or Nelson, and finally Hawke's Bay. Hawke's Bay is pretty good on Bordeaux style reds. How is it on Pinot Noir? Let's give this a whirl. Mano 2006. Well, it smells a bit like stewed, slightly stewed fruit, a bit of coffee. I get that slightly coffee edge on a lot of things like Corton and Alox Corton, the wines from there in Burgundy. Here, it's got a nice plush velvety edge to it. It's not a fruit bomb type of Pinot Noir. It's actually quite relaxed, gentle. It's almost like, for me, Pinot Noir for Shiraz lovers. It's got a soft warmth to it, but it's not gone into that over-the-top jammy edge. It's got a bit of fuller body, maybe. I don't know what the alcohol's like, although some of the Central Otago Pinots are not shy in alcohol, but it's quite light and dainty. I think they've done a good job here. From Pinot to Pinotage, Pinotage is the grape that was created in the 20s or 30s by Professor Perrault from Pinot Noir and Cinsault. It's a manly Pinotage. I smell it, and I smell something of its parentage. There's the berry warmth of Pinot Noir, but there's also that slightly, what I call sandy, rustic edge of Cinsault. There isn't too much great 100% Cinsault around, so you can work out what Cinsault tastes like as a variety. But when you see what it brings to a blend, I always think of it of almost like a texture, a slightly sandy savouriness. But compared with some Pinotages, there's none of that banana, acetone, rubber edge here. It smells like a nice, pretty full-bodied, but not overripe wine. Yeah, not as good as the Pinot Noir. It's just a bit. It lacks the Pinot Noir's coherence. Oh, what a pretentious word, coherence. What I mean by that is it feels just a little bit muddy. It feels like it almost needs somebody to stand at the back and say, "Look, if you don't pull yourself together, you're not going to make the grade." And it's just a bit. We've got 4 Syrahs now. We've got Argentina, South Africa and 2 Aussies. But we'll start in Argentina. Syrah Reserve, Vicien, Catamarca. What's good about it is, it actually says on the back, fermented with inner staves. Some people mess around and they try to, when they put oak aged on a wine, they try and make you believe it's been in a barrel. Then they're unashamed here. It's been in a large stainless steel tank. To give it a bit of oak character, we've plonked some staves in there. Well, the wood does come out as a slightly smoky bacon, ever so slightly toasty, not very subtle, but I think because it's 2006, it's far more subtle than it would have been like 2 or 3 years ago when it would have protruded just a bit too much. The fruit around it feels very warm, very ripe, slightly jammy, not great, but intense. Yeah, I find that just a bit made. It's got this jammy fruit. If you imagine jammy Dodger biscuits, that dried jam, red jam rather than black jam here. It's baked strawberries, baked plums maybe, and the finish is just a bit dry, a bit raw. Next one, Moerbei Sable and its Syrah, Shiraz, 2008 from Stellenbosch in South Africa. And this smells like it's got a slightly pippy, jammy edge. We're more on the black fruit here, blackberries, brambles, that type of thing. Bit of plum. Yeah, there's a toasty edge there, but again, in balance with the wine. There's this warmth. If anything, that's the thing I have against it. It's the alcohol that I notice coming through now. But this is a 2-year-old wine. I'm going to be tasting this with some other people later on tonight, and I wouldn't be surprised if that alcohol, if impression had actually calmed down and the rest of the wine had come up round it. Certainly, it feels like there's some nice wood in there that's keeping the fruit reined in. It just feels like it needs to have a little bit of time to get its act together, have a little bit of a think, and then come back and show us its more impressive side. Certainly I find it a more interesting and successful wine than the Vicenne, but work in progress. I think that's going to be better in certainly 2 or 3 years' time. Blackwood Ridge 2008 Shiraz, Central Victoria. Well, straight out of the unscrewed bottle, it doesn't feel like it's too ripe and jammy. It's quite a warm day here, so the wine's not been. It's not like I'm tasting it at a cool temperature. This is modern room temperature. Yeah, it's got this warm, quite seductive, almost velvety edge of vanilla there. Some mealy, slightly oatmealy, leesy edges. But then it's got this big buxom fruit right in the middle of it, and to be honest, it's not a style of wine that I find really enjoyable. I find it almost too much of a good thing. It's a bit like too much heavy metal. A little bit good, too much. You think, can we have some light and shade, please? This feels like, if this is what it tastes like when it's just been, when I've just opened the bottle, I think over the next few hours it's going to become even more bigger, not bloated, but I think it's just going to be a bit too loud for my personal preference. I imagine there'll be a lot of people who are absolutely adore this. Yeah, that edge of licorice there speaks to me of a hot, something that's just that little bit too hot. The strange thing is, I've done quite a few tastings when tasting high alcohol wines, and there are some wines that are in balance at 15%, and there are some wines that are out of balance and almost like too alcoholic at 13%. So I'm not a alcohol zealot, but I do find that just on the jammy side. Final wine, love the name, Ladies Who Shoot Their Lunch. And they're 2007 Shiraz from the wonderfully named Strathbogie. Strathbogie Ladies Who Shoot Their Lunch. Great names. You almost want to like the wines from the start, and the label's not bad either. It smells a bit more subtle, well, a bit more backward than the Blackwood, and it feels like it's going to be more one of those things that is in better balance at 15% than the maybe slightly jammy alcoholic Blackwood one was. I'm getting a little bit of leather, a bit of blackcurrant. Is it a year older? Yeah, it's a year older. So maybe give the Blackwood the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it would get there with another year. But I've got a feeling that this is a superior wine. Certainly a superior price. It's about 50% more. But for me, it smells like it's going to be worth the extra money. Yeah, whereas the Blackwood's almost like too bouncing, too pick me. This one is just a presence. It feels like it's just very, very confident. One of those people who strides into the room and the room goes quiet and everyone looks admiringly at it. There's this blackcurrant edge, there's this blackberry, certainly lots of plummy, plush fruit there. But also, whereas I found that licorice edge was really the only thing I saw on the finish here, there on the Blackwood, here I'm getting more of a, yes, there's a touch of that licorice, but there's also more of a minerally complexity. And this feels like the wine that will surprise you, having come across as being a gentle giant who looks like it's one of the people who's basically in the front row in the scrum, and then you find out that he's got a PhD in studying butterflies or something like that. Hidden depths here, and that's I would say that was my pick of the wines. I like the Pinot Noir. I like the first. I like the last, and the ones in between weren't bad, but. Anyway, thank you, Naked Wines, for these. I'm going to enjoy them with some more people later, so see you soon.